जय जय राम श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम ओम श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम 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 ओम श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम ओम श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम 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 ओम श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम 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 ओ श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम
Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram 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 Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram
जय जय राम मम्मी जी वेल्लम वाटर वाटर ठंडा
जय जय राम ओम श्री राम जय राम 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 श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम हरि ओम ओम श्री राम जय जय प्रणाम 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 हरि ओम हरि ओम हरि ओम Where were we yesterday?
The whole of second chapter.
The whole of second chapter. Now we have to ask ourselves, which point stands out in our memory from the second chapter?
The vision of Gita.
Yes, then. Huh? Yoga karmasu kaushalam. Yes, then. Samatvam yogam uchyate. Yes, yes, then. Everybody should contribute, please. Apuryamanam adala pradishtam. Very good. Then.
Samatvam yoga.
Aitu. It has already been mentioned.
Yanisha.
What is the point? Can you tell me?
Point. శ్లోకం కాదండి, మీ పాయింట్ చెప్పండి. శ్లోకం కాదు, మీ పాయింట్ చెప్పండి. శ్లోకాస్ దాతలు
స్థిత ప్రజ్ఞ. Okay.
See divinity in everybody.
Mataji, excellence in work.
That has already been covered. Excellence in work has been covered. Equanimity in action is covered.
Selfless action
is also covered.
Then everybody should say, then only they.
Spiritual development, outer world,
inner character efficiency, outer productivity. Inner efficiency, outer productivity.
No, then we are trying to ask ourselves which one stands out in our memory. We are not worried about the sloga, we are not worried about anything. If one theme stands out, that will help us. One or two or three themes, at least one. Not that the other one are irrelevant, but at least one, otherwise, it becomes an activity. It doesn't become a sadhana. Then only we will slowly try to actualize it in our life.
We have to develop the inner strength.
We have to develop inner strength.
Inner strength, yes.
Swamiji, inner spiritual life, outer world, perfect.
That is when we were talking about yoga karmasu kaushalam. It was pointed out, inner character efficiency, outer productive efficiency. Anything else?
Self-contented.
Self-contented and self-contained. Very good. This is what we want. Certainly, or at least we will remember.
Self-analysis.
Anything else? There were 72 slokas.
So she says total surrender.
Total surrender. Then.
Salpamapyasya dharmasya, Swamiji. Salpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mato bhaya.
Meaning what? You forget about the sloga. Because the sloga will take us to the academic side. But suppose we say the meaning is coming from inside. So what does it mean?
You do little also, that is useful.
That is what is needed. What have we understood from that? Sloga, half a dozen times, suppose we read, it will come one by one. And it will remain as a sloga. Then.
Giving up all desires and attain peace. Giving up all desires, egoism, attachment, etc., and attain peace.
Give up egoism and attachment, gain peace.
Swamiji, quality and quantity.
Quality and quantity, it says.
Quality of what?
Inner.
Inner.
Quality of what?
Inner probe and our Atma satisfaction. Satisfaction of Atman.
Inner quality and quantity we refer when the inner productive efficiency, inner character efficiency and outer productive efficiency. So one is the qualitative enrichment of the soul. So when we say outer productive efficiency in terms of quantity, so how my intelligence should work in such a way that with minimum effort I produce maximum. So this is called quantity, but that is perfectly all right, that is to be done. But at the same time, what is to be developed along with it is the inner quality development. So that is where we use the word quality and quantity.
Swamiji, absence of inner cravings, desire.
See, we should be able to point out such of the things we can at least try, Otherwise it becomes, a textual representation. What is possible for us to try, that will also come to us. Because we have been given a wonderful opportunity to go through Bhagavad Gita and relate it to our life. We don't want it as an academic knowledge. So when we point out these slokas, there should be an inner alignment. All we may not be able to. Few we will definitely try.
Swamiji, realizing that the divine has designed everything for us and that we are only instruments of his design.
Prescripted. Though it is very difficult for us to accept it now, at least we can try. Everything is designed by him, everything is decided by him, which is the truth. But we are unable to accept it. We think we are deciding, we are planning, we are doing. So the second chapter gives us this idea. I have already done everything. So let us try our level best. Wherever it is possible, we will try to bring it or integrate it with our life.
Only I think it's the paramount thing in the second chapter essentially is Arjuna is told that what his actions are part of a divine, even though it might be his own relative sequence. You kill nobody, you don't die, or because it is something which is perpetual. So you should carry out your duties, what it is. And example of that is the war. When the Pakistan war was there, it was said that even though they knew each other well, you kill that man, he goes to heaven. If he kills you, you go to heaven. But it is a war that you have to fight. So that was the message that Krishna was giving to him, stating that it had a close resemblance to this duty, maybe not necessarily as a Kshatriya, but those days, those were well-defined things that had to be carried out. Perhaps that is what we do in our work. When we correlate it to what we are doing in our work, we have to do our work what we are assigned to do. Where we don't sublimate ourselves into any emotional or extrapolate any other reasons for not doing so.
Yes, that's also right.
Yes.
Anything else?
Just like tortoise withdraw all the senses and become stable in the mind.
Like a tortoise withdraw the senses.
That is the word given in the
Bhagavad.
Bhagavad Gita. At the practical level, can we say, what does it mean?
To withdraw all senses
Not to see what you
and have a stable mind.
It's actually, if you see something wrong, it is your power to withdraw yourself from it. Because as you go on in your life, you find many things which are not compatible to you, which you feel is wrong. So on that interpretation, you come and it's your power to withdraw, like a tortoise, and move on.
In our simple language,
Yes.
we can say, what is not to be seen should not be seen. What is not to be heard will not be heard. What is not to be tasted will not be tasted. What is not to be smelled, it will not be smelled. What is not to be touched, it is not to be touched. So this is how we try to understand it, So suppose any temptation or craving comes to my mind, this sloga gives me the guidance, oh, I shouldn't. I must close. Then later on the craving still be there, but Krishna says that also has to be uprooted. So the first stop is the sense organs are put under control. Now sense organs take us for a ride. Sense organs, when they come in contact with sense objects, they take us away, the mind away. So here it is specifically said, when such a threat is there, you have to withdraw, like the tortoise. So leave everything, the sloga. Simple language is, whenever there is any craving or any desire which are down pulling, I must immediately be alert and should not indulge in that through that sense organ. So like that, practical, Let us try. We would not have been able to control all the senses. That is one sense probably we might be able to. So Gandhiji, when he was telling about this 11 brothers, before anybody joined Gandhiji's ashram, one of the things is aswad, palate. Because he says if we can control the tongue, we can control all the sense organs. So like that, anything that is practical, we are not trying to go through in the textual form. We are trying, there are about 72 slokas. There are various divisions. That is why we requested everybody to make a note they must sit and do it and see for themselves which of the points are getting aligned within me, so that it is not a textual observation, it was not a textual mastering. What are the points that are aligned? I would not have been successful in implementing it, but at least there is an alignment within me. That will help me. 72 slokas, it may be difficult for me to understand. At least a few slokas where I find myself, it is right, I can do it, I should do it. Anyway, on that basis, you may kindly think, tomorrow again when we meet, these 72 slokas, you go through it again and again. These 17 points pointed out in the Sthita Prajna, it contains nothing but clues. So suppose we split the 72 into 3 or 4 or 5 divisions, then only the in-depth study will come. Otherwise it will be superficial. We are very blunt in that. It will not help us in any way, excepting to quote, excepting to reproduce, excepting to satisfy our mind or intellect. But when it happens to my living in up to it, no. So we are not for the other one. We are for this one. We are for that which we are in a position to actualize in our life. So Papa's life and Papa's inspiration is that. He was inspired. In 1920, he was inspired about the higher form of life. He put in a lot of efforts. He came to know that it is God who is shaping everything. Then the handing over was the tapas. Completely transferring the sense of agency to him was the real spiritual discipline he undertook. And then all the other things were contributory factors for that. He was also reading, but he was assimilating, absorbing it, and to know that this finally the sense of individuality hands insets over, lock, stock and barrel to the indwelling reality. And on 27th December 1922, the final sealing was done and he took the plunge. So he is telling us, whatever you are facilitated to know, try in your own life. 1920 to 1922 period in his life was this actualization of the ideal. So we have now spent years and decades, and now the time has come for us. We must have implemented, we must have tried, we must have failed, we must have succeeded. Now through this, we are now again taking it up one by one. So that is why we said there should be an inner alignment with slogas, because God gave us a wonderful life so far. He gave us enough opportunities. We would have forgotten, we would have failed, we would have succeeded, we would have become aware of His hand. All those things should parade before us. Anyway, with this background, tomorrow again we will go through. Now for the time being, we will go through a few articles of Papa on sannyas. Because why we are talking about sannyas? This is the sannyas centenary. And the moment we hear the word sannyas, people immediately will think, leave the house, have your head shaven and wear ochre clothes, go to Himalayas or sit in a cave. No, no, no. So Papa throws ample light on sannyas. So when we are talking about the centenary, sannyas centenary of beloved Papa, it will be better for all of us to know what exactly this word sannyas means to Papa, and so that through him we get more and more clarity. It is not the traditional sannyas that he is talking about. A few articles we will read and then try to think about it. What is true renunciation? It should be primarily inner renunciation. Renunciation of desires. That does not come by our effort. When our heart is with God continuously, then we have no desire for the things of the world. All ambitions and cravings leave us automatically, just as when the light is brought, darkness vanishes. Anywhere he can get that urge within, renounce all attachment to things of the world, realize him. Particular environment is not necessary. Buddha's renunciation was primarily within. He was living in a palace with all the enjoyments. Destruction of misery was his aim. That he found could be possible by destruction of desires. So by controlling himself through austerities, he reached the state of liberation. Liberation from the clutches of desires. It is called nirvana. Hindus call it moksha, Jains call it kaivalya. Absence of misery means presence of happiness. Removal of darkness means light. That is, of course, a negative approach. Hindus take the positive way. They meditate upon the supreme truth and thus destroy the desires that bind them to earthly things. A person came and asked Ramdas, I want to renounce everything, what do you say? Ramdas said, you should not renounce. Why do you say so? He inquired. Ramdas replied, if you were ready to do so, you would not have come to ask him about it. That means we are not fully convinced. He laughed and went away. That is why if anybody comes and asks, shall I take sannyas, Papa will say no. Shall I get married? Shall I get married or not? Then Papa will say, get married. Because if you don't want to get married, you will not have come and asked me. Dedicating life to God should come about gradually. The thirst for God must be intense. Worldly desires would then disappear in the flame of desire for God. Till then, Purify yourself by a good life, make it orderly, well balanced. Till then, purify yourself by a good life and make it orderly and well balanced. Thoughts, words, and actions should be controlled. You should not do things by the force of impulse. You must use the faculty of discrimination. Buddha teaches that we must get rid of 10 evils. 3 of the mind: desire, envy, and hate. 4 of the tongue: lying, abusing, slandering, gossiping. 3 of the body: adultery, stealing, killing. These 10 evils Ramdas takes as the 10 heads of Ravana. You can kill this 10-headed Ravana by Ramnam, attain absolute purity in thought, word, and deed. 3 of the mind: desire, envy, hate. 4 of the tongue: lying, abusing, slandering, gossiping. 3 of the body: adultery, stealing, killing. So we are trying to understand what is renunciation, no? This might help. Sannyas is principally a state of internal detachment to the objects of the senses. The external garb is only a symbol of inner transformation. When the mind turns utterly toward the divine and revels in his beauty, power, and glory, it is then that the spiritual evolution of man reaches the summit. This great goal can be attained by total dedication of one's life and activities to him. Here the path to be followed is Bhakti Yoga. That means union with God through devotion and self-surrender. In the case of the Bhakta, renunciation is internal and not external. His heart is ever attuned to God. God is all in all to him. The devotee lives only for his sake. His thought, work, and action are completely saturated with love and devotion to God. The question comes, does sannyas mean running away from the world? What is the sannyasin's attitude to the world? Papa, when one renounces the world and takes up sannyas, ignorant people think that one does so hating the world and therefore has run away from it. In fact, sannyas does not mean hatred or fear of the world or running away from it. If he is asked the question, the sannyasin's answer will be, I was living so long within a narrow family circle in ignorance, attached to wife, children, relation, subject to the ideas of I and mine, love and hatred, raga and dvesha, likes and dislikes. To love anybody outside this narrow circle as I loved my so-called relatives was not possible for me as a householder. To love all, I had to break the small circle, enlarge the field of my love. It is not that I have discarded anyone, but only I have accepted all. Instead of being confined to a small circle, I now move in an infinitely wider circle. I hate none, I love all equally. Further, I was loving so far as the relatives of my household because of my attachment to their physical bodies, born of ignorance. But now I have realized the truth that only one Atman pervades everywhere and resides in everyone. Therefore, I now love all, not for the sake of their physical bodies, but for the sake of the Atman in them. Buddha's renunciation was of this type. When he found that he could love all alike, he freely moved in the world. When he went to Kapilavastu, Yashodhara asked him, "How could you be away from me, O Lord, so long? Don't you love me?" Yashodhara was his Purvashram wife. To this the Lord replied, "It is only now I have real love for you. Until I left you, I was only attached to your body." Swami Ramtirtha, after adopting sannyas and touring in many places for years, once happened to meet his wife in Purvashram or earlier life. She then asked him, "You once loved me so much, now you are away from me. Do you think of me at all?" The Swami replied, "You see, I have my nose. Do I have to think of it always? It is a part and parcel of me. You are part of my Virata Swaroop or cosmic form." Such is the spirit of real sannyas. Devotee, how do you see the world when you are God conscious? Papa, Ramdas sees the world as he sees the reflection in a mirror. So 2 articles of Papa we covered. Anything we remember from this?
Swamiji, the audio hand ஆயிடுச்சு Swamiji ஒரு paragraph படிக்கும்போது.
Audio was not working.
Audio hand ஆயிடுச்சு.
Now it is clear. Your speech is clear.
இதுவரை சொன்னது கேட்கலையா?
Her audio.
ஆமா Swamiji.
Her audio.
Purvashram கிட்ட பப்பா பேசி அந்த டயலாக் வந்து அது அப்படியே ஹேண்ட் ஆயிடுச்சு.
இந்த டயலாக் அதெல்லாம் கேட்டிருக்கு இல்லையா? அது வரும். He said that 2 people. Buddha was asked by Yashodhara. Because how could you be away from me? Then he said, "Now I love you in the real, true form of love, because previously I was loving your body. Now I know I love you because God is there in every one of us, so I love God in you." No? That is the untold version. When Swami Ramtirtha was asked, he said, just like the nose is there, I don't have to remember the nose because there is no otherness. God is there in the cosmic form, so I cannot forget anybody. Anything else you remember? Buddha is over then.
10 things.
Ravana.
10 evils.
Ravana heads.
Swamiji, can you please repeat, Swamiji? Papa says 10 heads of Ravana.
10 heads of Ravana.
Can you please once more repeat, Swamiji?
Anything you remember?
Yes, Swamiji.
Tell me.
Lying, tongue pati solrachu, lying, abusing,
Slandering. Gossiping.
slandering.
Gossiping.
He remembers gossiping because we are a prey to it, no? Slandering, gossiping, lying, abusing, and at the body level, adultery, stealing, killing. And the words, that is over. Then
Thought, envy, hatred, desire.
anything that stands out in our memory, forget about 10. We will learn by heart, that's all.
The devotee lives for God's sake.
Every article of Papa, when we read, we close it and then try to ask ourselves. Otherwise, we will forget. Nobody will be able to remember all the words. But we are trying to check up which has attracted my attention.
must love all equally.
Pardon?
We must love all equally.
We must
Loving
love
all
all
equally.
equally.
Inner renunciation is very important. That is
Inner
really
renunciation.
very, very powerful. We have to think deeply and contemplate.
Anything else?
Hariom Swamiji. I just heard.
Yes.
Swamiji.
Yes, come
Yes,
on.
Neelamji.
So, Swamiji,
Your audio is not audible.
our senses,
Breaking.
Audio is breaking, ma.
my connection is not very good.
Yeah, now it is better.
Now,
Again breaking.
so physically, our senses take us.
Our senses,
We want to be close to the person.
our senses take us ride. We want to be close
Ah.
to God, but it takes us away from it.
So it's like, perfect example, I'm here, in Delhi, but for some limitation or another, I am not able to come to the ashram.
Oh,
The senses want to see, want to be part of the army, want to, experience that. But listening to Papa, it is that means we can, experience that internally. We don't have to go for the gratification of the senses, because then it becomes limited. Like Swami Ramtitha says, or Yashoda Ma says that I see you everywhere. That means you are always with me. So it is the experience, inner experience, that is more meaningful than the sensory pleasure or the senses that drive us to go here and there.
good.
So the love we feel in our heart, we can feel the love without physically being there, which is difficult. Which is very difficult because our eyes want to see, our ears want to hear, tongue want to taste. So withdrawing from the senses, this pratyahara, that means as soon as the desire comes, we act on the desire. And so that is what I gathered, or what I understood, that we have to control our senses and control the desire and not act at the impulse.
Right.
Swamiji, if renunciation is inside, Charuma is telling, we won't go and ask, shall I renounce?
No, if you really want to renounce,
we won't ask, we will renounce directly.
Then we move to the next words of Puja Mataji. You should never allow yourself to be downhearted. Total surrender to God is no easy task. At His command, you must be prepared to bear humiliation and physical pain. To give up egoism and vanity is no joke. It is like playing with a cobra. It requires enormous strength of mind. Renunciation should come from within. But it does not mean you should shun the world. One must learn to live with people without attachment to them. That is the real test. By total surrender to Purushottam Papa, you are sure to get liberation. Sannyasa and Tyaga are one and the same. Do not go in for any external tyag. It was possible only for Papa to give up everything and to suffer in silence the slings of the world and all the harsh words, knocks, etc. But his love remained undiminished. What we should aim at is to attain Papa's eternal being within us, and we should not even attempt to imitate Papa and other Mahapurushas and their ways which are beyond our ken. When we want Papa and Papa alone, even the so-called malefic planets work to our advantage and help us to race towards our goal. Papa used to give the simile of a child of the house wanting to re-enter his house after playing for some time outside. All doors are lovingly open to him as he re-enters his own house. Similarly, when we turn towards Papa and want to enter into him, our real home, no power can bar our progress. Even when Papa took sannyas, he was said to have been under Sadesati, 7.5 years of Saturn, which is normally considered a very bad period. But in Papa's case, Saturn only accelerated his progress towards Ram and made everything convenient for him to renounce the world and take to intense sadhana. Those of you who speak of Tyag do so only for show. I know what a struggle I have to make. I know what a struggle I have to make you part with your old clothes, old vessels, so that I can distribute them to the poor. My whole purpose in cleaning you up of your old stuff to which you hug is only to instill in your hearts a broader vision, which is absolutely necessary if you want to progress on the path of Papa. Papa's eternal being is signified by utter emptiness, total void, and you must also be equally empty within you must be equally empty within and without and give up your sense of possession altogether. I want you to at least make a beginning in this direction. These are the words of Mataji. Which words of Mataji stand out now?
And be empty within.
Anything that you remember?
Give away possessions.
Give up your position. Old vessels and clothes.
Swamiji,
Swamiji,
even
giving up attachment to petty things.
Giving up attachment, petty things.
Swamiji, even if you have a bad time, your attitude, Sadesati as the product, it helps, it is for the good of Papa in his spiritual progress. So we should not bother about the graha, adella patti bother panna vendam.
Okay. Then
We should not try to be like the great Mahatma.
pardon?
We should not pretend. Yes, please, once again.
We should not try to be like
Try
the
to
great
be. We
Mahatma.
should not try to be like great Mahatma.
Exactly. We should not imitate. Good. Then.
எப்படி ஒரு குழந்தைக்கு வீட்டில் கடவுளுக்கு உண்மையான ஆசை விசாரண வழி
He's like a cobra.
What is like a cobra?
Swarajivamma.
Vanity, ego.
What is?
Vanity and ego.
Vanity and ego.
Oh, sorry. Then, at least something now remains,
Yes, Swamiji.
Very good.
It has alignment going on.
Very good. Now we will go to the next of Puja Swamiji. What is do sadhana at home till one becomes ready for the final plunge. Beloved Papa did not believe in the traditional initiation into the order of sannyas. He believed that it is a natural process in man, and when one feels that he has great and intense dispassion to the things of the world, and equally or more intense aspiration to realize God, he can take to the order of sannyas. But he also used to add that one has such intense dispassion and aspiration to realize God, it is not really necessary to change the clothes. One can as well remain in white clothes and get the highest realization. In beloved Papa's case, he took to order of sannyas, but he did not encourage sannyas for others except one, that is myself. Though I did not ask him for sannyas, he asked me to take to the order of sannyas and gave me the cloth and the name. In a few other cases, he agreed that they may adopt sannyas because they were persistent. Otherwise, he was telling everybody to lead the ordinary householder's life with the aspiration to realize God and practice sadhana at the same time. According to him, it was not necessary for anybody to externally renounce anything, though he really believed that a high standard of renunciation is necessary before one can reach the supreme goal. However, in gatherings he used to tell, what was required was internal renunciation, and one could reach God by remaining at home without changing their occupation, position, or status. Did not emphasize the need for external renunciation. After hearing him for some time, I asked him once why he was telling that it was possible for anybody to reach God while remaining at home. He told me, Ramdas will show you tomorrow. He will talk about the highest renunciation, see what happens. The next day in the gathering, he started talking about the need for external renunciation. Not only the need, but he considered external renunciation as an absolute necessity for realizing God. He said that spiritual life is not a joke. You have to give up everything, physically, mentally. You cannot have him for nothing. When he went on talking in that strain, some of the devotees who were very eagerly listening to him gradually stepped back. They showed that they were not interested in listening to him. After some time, a few of them got up and left the place. Saying this, Papa winked at me, meaning that people are not pleased to hear about the highest renunciation. Afterwards, when the meeting was over, he told me, see what happened when Ramdas talked about external renunciation. People are not prepared for that. That is why Ramdas tells them that until they are prepared to take the leap, they can stay at home and practice sadhana. But a day will come when they will be taken out of their household and made to remain in solitude for some time at least. Not that they should be wandering in all their lives in search of God, but at least for some time they need a solitary life for intense sadhana. When they are ready, either they themselves will leave everything, or finding that they are useless in the house, the relation will push them out. May Lord Papa bless all of you with his constant remembrance and enable you to reach the supreme state, resulting in eternal happiness. So, what is the theme Swamiji is talking about? When you hear the whole thing, what do you get?
To stay home and realize God at home.
Huh?
Stay at home and do sadhana.
Realize God at home. Realize God
Stay
at
at
home.
home, then practice sadhana.
Realize God at home.
Is that what he said?
Swami, he says, you are a Nitya Samnyasi, Yoradrishna Kamsati. That is, staying in your life itself, carrying on your own thing, you can realize sadhana. It is not a renunciation. It is maybe only the upgrading yourself to the feeling of oneness and in reality. Everything is reality, what it says. You can't run away from reality. That's what the emphasis is.
Anything else? Anybody understands it?
On the external
What is he zeroing to? No?
Fully prepared.
Eh?
Fully prepared and leave.
Until we are prepared, we cannot take a plunge. But final plunge is necessary. That is the blunt truth. Until we are ready, we cannot take the plunge. But final plunge is it is a necessity.
But doesn't he say that it automatically comes the final?
Let us try it.
It's not that you have to take an effort for that. No?
Because it is it's a tough job, uphill task. So sitting in the midst of comforts, to be away from the comforts, it doesn't go well, paradoxical. So that is how we try sitting in the comforts, reducing the comforts, not depending upon the comforts, not allowing the comforts to occupy our mind space, and then the plunge takes place. And when the plunge takes place, all these things have no value there. But unless and until we are ready, we cannot take a plunge. That is what the ultimate Papa was trying to point out. When Papa was asked, why did you do that?
Akin to the dive of a person in the mid-sea. Just like, one person diving in the mid-sea, the life shall be before a plunge.
We couldn't follow. Anyway, forget about it. The idea is the final plunge is necessary. Because then only when we leave all and rely on Him, relying on Him and Him and Him only, if that has to become a reality, we should be free from all comfort zones.
Swamiji,
Yes, Swami.
It is the blunt truth. But unless and until we are ready, let us not take a plunge into it.
Swamiji, right now if the fan goes away, I feel uncomfortable about it.
Fan goes away at present.
We are
uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable. That's what I'm telling. See, we may say so many things, but
Difficult, Swamiji.
Swamiji say, Papa says what Swamiji brings out, because he was bluntly asked, he had shared this with us.
We are not able to get
During his foreign tour, when he was explaining about it, Papa bluntly asked him, then why did you do that? Then he said, tomorrow you see that. Because the equipment is not ready, So we satisfy our mind. In the midst of all these things, I can still do that because He is there everywhere. It's an intellectual statement. He is there everywhere. That is an intellectual statement. But for some time at least, unless and until I deny myself and I choose something is not in my daily routine, I will not be able to have this is what everybody has shown in their life. We are not telling about the cloth. We are talking about renunciation. Cloth is, many people wear only white. But they have renounced. So cloth does not make any difference. But what is more important is when I take the plunge, that means attaching myself totally, not attaching, that is not the word. Relying totally on God and God and God and God alone. For anything and everything. That is the final plunge. On 27th December 1922 at 5 o'clock when he left, what did he say? Everybody has forgotten. At 5 o'clock in the morning, he bade farewell to a world for which he had lost all attraction and in which he could find nothing to call his own. Body, mind, soul, all were laid at the feet of Ram. Body, mind, soul, all were laid at the feet of Ram, that eternal being, full of love, full of mercy. At 5 o'clock in the morning, he bade farewell to a world for which he could find nothing to call his own. 2 years this preparation was going on. The final plunge took place only when the final one was also cut, and entirely, totally. So that is why he said, when we are trying to understand renunciation, we should know that. Otherwise the mind will keep on justifying, in the midst of everything, everything is all right. Because everything is God. Those are all the words, we borrow from somebody. Because if it is there, we will be living up to it. Ramana Bhagavan did not do anything, in the traditional form. But the detachment came to him, Nisargadatta Maharaj did not go any form, but the detachment was within. Sri Anandamayi Maha, our Amritanandamayi Maha, they did not change their dress. Even the old relations were there, but they have detached completely and surrendered themselves totally at the feet of Ram, at the feet of God. There are many. So this is the clarion call by Papa. One more. Renunciation not external by Papa. It is not by mere external renunciation that we attain Him. There are so many who have renounced the world and gone to the forest, but they have not attained Him. Many others living in the world and sincerely dedicating their work to God have found Him. It is not the external condition that matters so much as our inner state of mind. If we dedicate our life to Him, it does not matter where we live. We can live in the family and still have Him, because God is not in caves and forests. He is in us, with us, everywhere about us. So to realize Him, we need not go anywhere. It appears a man not finding God in the world, left to the world and went to the forest far away from the haunts of men, stayed there in a cave, feeling that the company of worldly people was not at all favorable for realizing God. He did his austerities in the solitude, prayed to God to show Himself to him. He prayed long for years. Finally, God gave him his vision in the form of the world. The man now felt how foolish he was to the world, and he came away. When the world itself was God, he went back to the world. The world is pervaded by him. Rather, the world is God Himself. He is in our heart. Why should we run away from Him? Do you think in solitude alone you can have Him? Solitude may be necessary in order to find Him within, so that the outside noises may not disturb our communion with Him. Ramdas remembers the famous words of Emerson. The great man is he who enjoys the sweetness of solitude in the midst of the crowd. This is a wonderful saying. This is possible when you are in tune with God. We feel that He is our constant companion, even when we are moving about amidst the crowd, when we know that the crowd itself is the expression of God. When we know that the crowd itself is the expression of God, then we cannot say that God is far away, while He can be seen before us in so many forms. It is in that spirit Ramdas is moving in the midst of people everywhere in the world. He finds God in every form he beholds, the supreme beloved of His. He is in the heart of every one of you. The Lord says, I dwell in the heart of every being and creature. So here also, when He says, our mind satisfies, it can. Yes, unless and until we see the world itself is God. Further, what is necessary? We will get the inner guidance. From whatever we have seen, we know that the world occupies our mind as different from me. The comfort zones means the world occupies my mind because it is different from me. When I become one with the world, when the bigger I becomes conspicuous, then the world also is me only. In that sense, renunciation is not necessary. Broadening our eye. For that, something is needed, The eye, the small eye and the big eye. The small eye will not, just because we hear somebody telling, we read a few slokas, it is not going to happen. It does not happen to us. Why should we say that it will not happen? It does not happen to us. How many years we have been listening Papa's words? Has it happened to us? So then what is necessary? Then I start thinking. So either to reduce everything or to expand. Either of these should take place. Either the small eye should become the big eye, or the small eye should withdraw from the entire thing and realize the big eye in me. Because at the moment I have no time, no space for the big eye. It is fully crowded with the world which I consider it as outside. So long as that is there as an outside factor, I will not be able to realize the I is within me. So the different methods are there that is placed before us: renunciation and expansion. We have to do some thinking and see for ourselves which suits us. So the final message is, unless and until we are not ready, we cannot take the plunge. But that doesn't mean we have to keep quiet. We have to somehow make it ready to take the plunge. Because this is the precious birth God has given us. a precious opportunity to know Him as the world inside and outside. So that we cannot lose, we cannot afford to lose. Durlabam trayamevaitad devanugraha hetukam manishyatvam mumukshatvam mahavurusha samshaya. So this manishyatvam janmam is a rare one. And mumukshatvam, the desire to liberate myself from the clutches of my desires through satsanga, and satsanga, the association of Mahavurusha. These three are very rare. So at least we can say we have been privileged. We have become aware of these three privileges. Should we become complacent? Should we become inattentive, irresponsive? No. We will not miss this opportunity. Whether we are young or old, we will somehow see that we make use of this wonderful opportunity given to us. So we pray to Him. From the bottom of the heart, we pray to Him. With the help of the holy and all-powerful Ram Nam, we pray to Him. Please, before you take away the body, you take away all that is preventing me to realize your presence. That's all we are asking. All that is preventing me to realize your presence, please take it away. I am not asking you something big. I am only asking a small thing. I want you and you alone. Take away all that is blocking me, which is preventing me to become aware of your presence within. So today is a resolve, we will not miss this opportunity. Rest of the articles we will try to go through tomorrow. Hari Om. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram Om. 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 Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram Om.
Jai Ram. Jai
Hari Om.
Namaskaram, Swamiji.
Namaskaram. Hari Om. Hari Om.